You're going to have to actually show leadership in this area. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It's interesting. On this, it sounds so argy-bargy is what the British would call it. When we met with Marvin Lewis after the speech, Marvin immediately went to this. He goes, let's talk about accountability. And before I could answer, my son said, well, Coach, do you mind if I tell you what? I mean, who's going to manage big relationships like the BP and the Exxon relationships? Because they wouldn't even have a lead on 2 leads. People will make big sacrifices for a team, and that will hurt them. But teams do this. Then your role, the leader,
it's kind let's tip it down.
Make sure they get the projector straight on. Yeah. Let me go back to the room. Okay.
Test.
Get everyone back in here. All right. I got a few quick announcements. Earlier when we were setting up, one of the hostess had their keys on a table, and those keys have gone missing. If you see an extra set of keys somewhere, shake them in the air so a hostess can get home. They don't have keys to their car. So there's a mystery set of keys somewhere in this room. Secondly, she's part of the communication team. Chris Mastrangelo right here, Mr. Brad Jenkins, and anyone else that I may be missing, part of our strategic alliance team. They're the ones that give us partnerships with Sewell Cadillac, Boyer Miller, who am I missing? VACO, BBVA, VCFO. All those are relationships that Chris and Brad and his team have built. And they're our strategic partners. Jacobs was here, but I believe he stepped out. He's our membership chair. We got a brand new membership class coming in. They're going to be forum trained, I believe, December 12th or 15th. We're bringing in 8 new members. You should have received the announcements about a week ago about the new membership class that's coming through. And then Jim Wilkinson right here is our mentorship chair. And Jim is working on 2 programs this year. One he's going to kick off in January. We're going to have a mentor-mentee pairing. He's working on securing all the mentors right now, and in January you'll receive an announcement that...
That's what I do. I'm basically a consultant. That's what I do with companies. But for you need to just be thinking about what can we do. You can do this yourself. I help men do it faster, better, with better results. But this is not, like I said, rocket science. But it's difficult. It is difficult to do. And remember, CEO participation, involvement, actually being the catalyst of this is just a requirement for success. I've never seen an organization assign this to somebody, even on the executive team or the HR. If you're not, don't have a pen or pencil out, go at my speed because I want to explain some of these to you. All right? Team members are unguarded and passionate in their discussion of issues. Question 2.
Can you tell them what page we're on?
Yeah, is there a page number on that? 7? I just couldn't see it without my glasses. Page 7.
Is this available on your website or something?
Yeah, you can. I don't think that's right on our website. You can actually get it online. You have to buy those online.
Okay.
But you, I mean, if you're worried about making happy, be honest, this is where it starts right now. Team members leave meetings confident that their peers are completely committed to the decisions that were agreed on, even if there was initial disagreement. Or do people walk out of there and don't push the ball forward? They don't do it. They keep arguing. They have to have a meeting after the meeting to get it changed. Those are lower scores. Morale, I have to explain this one a little bit. Morale is significantly affected by the failure to achieve team goals. It gets a lower score if you have, not just a couple of them, us as a team. Team members are slow to see credit for their own contributions, but quick to point out that of others. Okay. So you see a little table here on the following that second page. If you'll take your score from questions 4, 6, and 12 and populate that column, and add up those numbers. See if your scores get in that area that what I would call kind of average 20 to 23. You do want to pay attention to that. If you have a score in the 20 to 23 range, now this is probably something that is probably hurting you already in your performance. If you're at 19 or below in any one of the areas, I'm almost guaranteeing you it's affecting how well you can perform. You just get a feel for the room, all right? So in the first area of trust, how many of you rated your team at this point in the lower category at 19 or below? Let's see the hands. Okay, how many of you rated the medium area then? And how many people rated it high? Okay, it was kind of close to a third. How about conflict? How many of you gave it the lower area, that 19 or below? Okay, how many put it in the medium area? Okay, and how many people put it in the high? We're real good at this. That's good, a pretty good number there.
And so with fresh eyes to the organization, with conflict, to be able to address someone's shortcomings and how it affects the team, I don't see that being done within my organization, myself included. I know a lot of what my shortcomings are. I'd like somebody else to tell me what they are to, whether I'm right or not. So within that family group, like you were discussing earlier, the organization that I work for, they're all family, everyone, the presidents, the owners and the founders role and function. However, they're not approachable. They're not personable. They have a tendency to cause other people to shy away from them, and in their role, they impact everything else. Let's take, for example, IT, or maybe your CRM software for which all you house everything. When this particular person writes, creates, and develops that piece, and as your business moves forward, you need to grow with new ideas, but the people on the front lines that
passionate about their job or the company, we actually have a very high morale. I feel like our organization is healthy based on the items that you listed on the table, except when it comes to this accountability. And I don't know whether it's the people, the actual people that are hired and that are already there, and they don't have the assertiveness or the aggressiveness to speak up or to move themselves, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of
before we leave to talk about what I would do with a client, and you can do real time. The two most difficult areas typically of our organizations that they find are come in conflict and accountability. So healthy conflict, well, we think organizations should develop some ground rules for healthy conflict. Before we get to that, you should ask yourself, what amount of passion is healthy inside of an organization? So when we go to these debates, are people going to stand in the companies that I've worked with, some of these tech firms, where people are remote, so you have people calling in, and people will IM each other secretly. It's like a secret message to that. This is really stupid. I think the person's it's shocking that happens in companies. That people are taking on personal attacks, or it's even farther, where they're being accusational, or calling each other names, attack the problem, not the person, and don't be afraid to share your opinion. These are just typical ones I hear all the time. Then before they actually get to the point of voting on them or deciding, I always want to look for synonyms, so I ask them to bucket things together and pretty much say the same thing. Like being open-minded to hear all sides. Instead of voting and splitting the vote on those, what we do is, if we find out that there's a subject that's been kind of untouchable, that nobody wanted to talk about, but you are aware of it for more than 30 days and you haven't brought it up in a meeting, we fire you. I go, what? Yeah, we fire you. We have 99% market share. AMD's got 1%. They can go work at AMD. They don't do that over there. We're gonna have these conversations. So they have had a history of. What page is that?
For the other members of the team.
Oh, that's cool.
This is something you can be doing better. This is something you can be doing better.
Okay.
There's three of us, and we can do that.
Oh, yeah. So give each other feedback. So I'll tell you, we do something similar to this. So usually at the end of the 2-day offsite, we call the team effectiveness exercise. And we have everybody, it's like a real-time 360 by 360.
Parties neutrally and acknowledging their strengths. As you just mentioned, that ask them to mention their own, each other's strengths. And then have very open discussion and go to the core issue and resolve it amicably.
Okay, so again, this is probably a good thing for accountability or improvement. Again, just so you get the right framework on this. This whole conversation is, think about a strategic meeting. Think about going into a strategic meeting where we ladle back into the refined beans that goes, yeah, we have too many unproductive meetings. Because we'd be so great if we had productive meetings. See, people over and over again, they fail at meetings so miserably. They're so what we're looking at here is when you go into meetings, How can we create a place where we have the Joe Montana decisions, where we talk about the tough issues, where we have the meeting in here, not before the meeting, not after the meeting, we do it right here. So again, just because this phrase, so how are we going to play that out when it comes to having debate on a team? Or were you kind of thinking more of the accountability piece?
Well, now we talk about the other things that I think we'll
Okay, so things about an illustration, especially you can see in the energy industry, is usually safety is such a big deal that people have learned how to kind of call out bad behaviors around safety. Even to the point where, hey, remember you have to hold the handrail. Things that, a lot of things is people, they start their meetings late or whenever anybody can get there or whenever they're around. And they lose incredible amounts of just simple, basic discipline. You know, at the New York Giants, they have a team rule that all meetings, that the meeting, I mean, is there a phone call that gets regularly scheduled and we'll get those people to move it or whatever, but we need you to be here on time. So Jerome knows he's going to get asked about it, and we also might know that's going to happen in public. We could also decide, that's good. That's a great question. Usually what happens is they get moved into a different place. Or they eventually leave the team. I mean, with you all, if you're the senior pastors in Michigan would have accountability meetings with different ground rules than they would. They're going to look different the way they do it, the way they talk to each other. We're going to pick them. But I'm going to give you just a couple minutes just to go ahead, and I want you to populate. And again, this will just be like a 1-minute exercise. What do you think? And you're
highly dysfunctional. We performed well in the past, but now it's just like, how do you in a family business? I know a bunch of us in a family business. How do you get parents to face reality? I was really excited because she was like,
willing to take less in profits and earnings, or is there something we really want to maximize because we actually want to either gain wealth as a family or serve a particular segment of society, whether it's people that need wine bottles, or people we're going to produce something, or we're going to help oil field services be better. You have to decide that first question that we said in the 6 big questions is why do we? Yeah.
Do you have a go-to guide or a reference book of establishing ground rules, something we can reference?
I don't think we do. I mean, that slide was about as good as we have. I think the main thing is you want to figure out because you have to kind of know yourself, what our makeup of our team is. Now, one thing we do is we always do the Myers-Briggs in our teams. It is very helpful to understand the personal makeup.
Of the 5 dysfunctions, let's say, for example, on our rating, you were failing 3 or 4 or all of them. Which one do you think you should attack first in order to be successful at moving to the next one?
All right, I would always say you have to start with the trust. Because the trust is that format is actually built upon each other, but not completely interdependent. Some companies are very good at, let's say, team results, but their trust is low. But what they really have done is put I'm going to help you. He goes, well, we have these, outreaches at colleges. If there's just, a rabbi and his wife, it's fine. But when there's 2 rabbis, we're a team and we're dysfunctional. So can you help us? So even teams of 2 have to have these conversations. It's not unusual at all for us to deal with smaller companies. Yeah, sometimes they can't afford our fees, which just honestly. But we have a ton of material on our website that's free. The books are $24. I mean, there's.
See each other that much, and we don't really get to see them that much because we normally are out driving. So, that is my big concern. How do I set meetings with them if they don't come to the same time, they don't leave at the same time, maybe they're friends between them, but they get to see each other probably 5-10 minutes in the day and that's it.
That's a great question. So 2 things. We have to decide usually answer for an individual company, but it's usually something pretty big, something inspirational. Yeah. Another question? Well, look, think I'm right about time here, so I'm going to stay around here, and if you have questions you'd just rather ask in private, we'll sit down, and we'll stay for the appetizers, and I sure appreciate you guys inviting me to come.
All right.